Hello, my name is Caitlin Lowe, and I'm doing a report on Federico Garcia Lorca. Federico Garcia Lorca was born on June 5th of 1898, and he died on either August 18th or 19th of 1936. He was a Spanish poet and playwright. Federico was the oldest of four children. His father was a wealthy landowner, while his mother was a schoolteacher. The social conditions and images he grew up around in Andalusia influenced his works when he grew up. Lorca resurrected and revitalized the structure for Spanish poetry and theater in his 19-year career. When he was 10 years old, his family moved to Granada, where he attended a private school and a Roman Catholic school. Target audience of Lorca. Federico had no target audience for his writings. Some could say that since he was gay, some of his works focused on the loneliness or alienation that comes with being a part of the LGBTQ plus community. During his time, Lorca wanted to make his works accessible to everyone, especially the working class. He drew heavily from Andalusian folklore, gypsy culture, flamenco, and etc. He hoped to push Spanish theater beyond its more conventional audiences, challenging them with new forms, symbols, and themes. Genre and adaptations. Federico Garcia Lorca focused on tragedies more. He had a category that he named rural tragedy, and this made up some of his works, like Blood Wedding, Yerma, and The House of Bernarda Alba are often grouped as rural tragedies. But Lorca also wrote other genres. He wrote comedies, farces, puppet plays, and etc. He would often mix genres and blend popular forms to create stories that consisted of high poetic tragedy. Many of his works were adapted into films, operas, dances, and etc. The play "Blood Wedding" was adapted into a 1938 Argentinian film, as well as a ballet/flamenco adaptation. His play "The Audience" was also adapted into an opera by Mauricio Sotelo. Inspiration. Federico would use recurring symbols in his writings, often drawn from Andalusian culture and folk traditions. These symbols, like the moon, blood, water, horses, knives, etc., tend to carry heavy emotional and sometimes mystical meanings. He drew inspiration from traditional Spanish drama, folk elements, rural life, popular song, and would combine these elements with surrealism and other forms. Federico was a fan of formal experimentation being used when writing, allowing himself to be free from direct genre types. Many of his plays explore themes of repression, especially in women, with sexuality, longing, and social norms versus inner life. The personal effects of his life were used especially due to the fact that he was a gay man in a conservative society. Lorca never won any major awards in his lifetime. What I learned. Garcia was an experimental playwright who enjoyed making plays not in the norm. The play "The Audience" was never meant to be staged because he labeled it as impossible theater. I enjoyed the fact that his plays weren't just adapted to screen, but also dance and other forms. This ties back to how he would draw inspiration from all sort of platforms to create his works. I learned that most of his plays weren't staged until after his lifetime. For instance, El Publico wasn't staged professionally until decades later. I think everyone should learn from Federico to be daring and go outside of the norm. Allow yourself to think outside the box and use other forms of expression as inspiration. Play explanations. The Blood Wedding. This play takes place in a semi-mythical rural Spain and shows how two families are stuck in a cycle of violence and revenge. Two wealthy landowners arrange for their children to be married, but the bride is still in love with her former lover. Even though he is already in a loveless marriage, he can't let her marry someone else. On the wedding night, the bride runs away with him, which causes a scandal and sends the whole town chasing after them. They escaped into a dark and threatening forest where the moonlight feels dangerous instead of comforting. In the end, love, jealousy, and fate collide in tragedy. Through his poetic language, Lorca tells a story about passion and death that feels both timeless and haunting. The Public. The Public is a surrealist play. It blurs the lines between hallucination and dramatic reality, which creates this deliberate ambiguity. The work explores hidden homosexual desires while also affirming the importance of erotic freedom. It belongs to Lorca's Impossible Theater alongside plays such as Hace que pasen 5 años and La Comedia sin título. Yerma. Yerma tells the story of a young woman trapped in an unhappy marriage and consumed by her longing for a child. In rural Spanish society, where being childless carries deep stigma, her obsession with motherhood only grows as her husband remains cold and indifferent. Bound by strict moral codes, Yerma feels imprisoned by her fate. Unable to seek fulfillment elsewhere, her despair eventually erupts in a violent act against her husband, making the play a powerful exploration of repression, gender roles, and the devastating cost of denied desire.
Created using Powtoon.